When looting villains from Tangled, what comes to mind? Okay, they'll probably think of Model God awful at first, but how about Tangled villain from the TV show? Okay, fair enough. How about Tangled TV show villain who has daddy issues, used to be a hero, turned into a villain, and then into a hero again? Oh, come on! Hello, I'm Axis Poet, and welcome to Disney Magic Maddox, the most magical channel on Earth. And today, I'm going to talk about one of the most underrated characters in fiction. One of the best characters in fiction, in my opinion. If you've ever seen Tangled, the series, you probably know it's a really good show. And the good reason the show is so amazing is because of its characters. It has old ones from the movie, and introduced a lot of new, compelling, and interesting characters along with it. And today I want to talk about one of the characters in the show, who I consider to be one of the best Disney characters ever, and one of the greatest characters in fiction, period. In case it wasn't clear, I'm talking about Varian, whose character arc I think is one of the best I have ever seen. Varian is one of the most underrated characters I have ever seen. Even underrated by people who've watched the show. When people talk about this show, I rarely ever hear them bring up Varian, which infuriates me. I think it's about time I made a video about how great of a character Varian really is. From the very first episode of the series, we get introduced to Varian. Well, in the first episode of the series, Varian's just there right off the bat. Rapunzel's laying waiting, Cassandra, tells Rapunzel about a solution to all the hair problems. Well, long story short, Rapunzel's hair comes back and it's kind of out of control. So she thinks that this person she's heard of, who a lot of people say is dangerous, who she thinks is like some sort of wizard, could maybe have the answer.
He's Varian, and he's some kind of wizard.
Wow, a real wizard? Do you think they'll have one of those pointy hats and like a robe and a staff?
So they go to Varian's house, and they both get caught in a goo trap, which Varian actually says is made for raccoons due to them having rodent problems, which is actually important, so remember that raccoon. Varian then reveals himself as an alchemist, and he's very specific, he is not a wizard. You know, like the chemical things, like the science with all the liquids and stuff. That's for people who don't know what alchemy is. And he decides to run tests on her hair in his big machine. Let's make something clear. Varian is a child. Well, he's 14, so he's technically a teenager, but he's only 1 year older than me. And he is doing all these crazy science experiments. If there'd be a word to describe Varian, it'd be child prodigy. And then Eugene shows up, and Varian actually reveals himself to be a huge fan. Actually, he's a fan of the books, which, well, Eugene stole the name Flynn Rider from, but Varian mistakes him for the character in the books, and does not listen to any of Eugene's words to tell him otherwise. Varian is just a really great character, and he pretty much does every single thing that I like in a character. For one, I really like funny characters. And Varian is hilarious.
Yes, that's great, but what I meant is tell me all the important stuff she said.
Mr. Ryder, when the Princess of Corona speaks directly to you, every word is important.
See my new invention? Rumor has it, it is a shoo-in for the first prize in the contest.
I started the rumor. Any chance you'd want to
Help you? Yes. I mean, I'd love to.
Very well. You can travel with me.
Really? Yes! Yes! Road trip! Varian and Dad going to see the king! I will pack ham sandwiches. Yes, Dad, yes, I just dropped the book. It's one of my big books. That's it.
Staircase.
Have you heard of the legend of the lone birdman of Swandale?
No, well, no, but
The ancient people of Swandale.
thank you, Rediger. This is perfect. Warm cocoa will really hit the spot. Thanks, bud.
Varian's actor also is great. Well, voice actor is great. And I can truly feel the emotion in every line that comes out of Varian's mouth. He is voice acted to perfection. To greatness. Going back to Varian's first episode of the series, and the first episode of the series in general. Now that we're back to the first episode, I think it's time we can finally get into what makes Varian so amazing is his character arc throughout the series. He has one of the best character arcs and best writing I have ever seen in fiction. One of, anyway. But he's running tests on Rapunzel's hair. And by the way, I just want to mention, Varian's costume is also pretty cool. He has a white stripe in his pure black hair, which could represent his good-evil struggle, or the fact that he's an outcast. It can represent a lot of things. I just thought this would be a good time to bring that up. But that was Ryan testing Rapunzel's hair. Varian shows Eugene a secret project which he hasn't told anyone about. Not even his dad. He shows Eugene a special project he's been working on, which will bring hot running water to his town. Which is called Old Corona, by the way. So I guess it's just the original version of the current Corona. So that's a pretty rundown town. Yeah. There's a slight problem with his invention. They actually create earthquakes, and he has 5 of them throughout his entire town. And, he does not feel like turning them off. What's important to note is that the reason people call Varian dangerous and no good things are really known about him isn't because he's actually dangerous himself, though he can be pretty dangerous when he wants to be, actually. But we'll get to that later. It's his projects that are dangerous. He's just pushing the power of science so far that it actually causes more problems than it helps. So Varian does agree, after Eugene very, very much suggests it, to turn down his machines. But it's too late, and everything blows up.
No, I got 3 pumps to shut off, and I can't let this happen again. Look out!
Though everyone I know of survives. But the entire place is a wreck. Like, more of a wreck than it kind of was already. And Varian's dad, who's pretty much the mayor, is,
Milady.
Varian! Okay, what happened?
Dad, I'm sorry.
Not again, Varian.
So sadly, you can see that situations like this are actually regular occurrences for Varian. And as you can guess, the people in his town aren't fond of him. So Kieran's the name of Varian's dad, He's basically in charge of the town and tries to take care of everybody when they have problems. But that's very hard when most of his problems that he has to fix, well, the town's problems that he has to fix, are caused by his own son. Of course, he still cares about Varian and everything, but he comes to see him more as a problem, something that causes problems, and that's something to be involved with stuff, and a child, instead of someone he can actually, well, trust with anything. Basically, Varian is very capable, but his father sees him as irresponsible and a problem starter. This leads Varian to, well, just long for his father's approval, which is pretty much his motivation for a lot of the stuff he does. The earthquake machines and everything Varian does causes problems. But the thing is, he keeps doing them because he wants to make up for his past problems. But those just cause more problems for everybody. Point is, Varian is motivated by approval from his father and his whole town, who have basically all turned against him. It's pretty sad. Now, Varian's next appearance in the series, his second appearance, I used to think wasn't even that important to his character, because it, well, solves his whole dynamic with Cassandra. I'll probably do a separate video about Cassandra. Everyone talks about her and her character arc, but honestly, Varian did first, and he did better. Cassandra and Varian strike a deal. He helps her with her lady-in-waiting duties, and C will be his assistant at the Science Expo. But then Cassandra gets a chance to do what she's always dreamed of. Get assigned, well, an assignment, as a royal guard. Her dad is also the captain of the guard, who also views her as, well, inexperienced and not ready to become a god. So Varian and Cassandra actually bond over, well, chatting about how the whole reason they do everything and why they're so driven and stuff is an odds to prove themselves to their dads. But Cassandra breaks the news to Varian that she can't keep her part of the deal, which Varian does not take well, especially after he did all those chores. Thus, so she'd be his assistant, because in case you couldn't tell, Varian has a crush on her. Varian then needs to find an assistant at the very last minute. He does manage to find an assistant at the very last minute. Well, at least he does find someone in time.
The power of that guy.
I never said he found a good assistant in time. But Varian does present his invention. That way does present. It turns out it makes a whole new element, which he names Cassandrium. That guilt is eating her alive now. And it should be. Do you know how much work, how much chores he had to do to get you to do something? You didn't even end up doing, you ungrateful little Lane Wayne. But then Sorty, the guy who was his assistant, accidentally almost kills the judge. He is then disqualified. And that makes Cassandra feel even more guilty. Because, well, if she was the assistant, that wouldn't have happened. He would have gone disqualified. Cassandra. And that people like her more than Varian. And the first prize ends up going to a girl who literally thus did like a magnet trick. With magnets and stuff. Dark day for science.
I really wanted to do was impress you. I thought if I showed you what I was capable of, you might see something. Something special.
But then the judge kind of makes Varian's invention go haywire. Bunch of chaos stuff happens. Varian and Cassandra walk together, and they fix everything. Well, there's a lot of damage, but everyone's alive.
For you.
And this was meant for you.
But they make up and everything, and everything's fine. But Varian then reveals that he got the idea from these black rocks outside his village, which have been following Rapunzel everywhere she goes, and are slowly making their way towards her castle. And Varian notices that the rocks are somehow connected to her, but he doesn't know how and wants to investigate the mystery of them. And that wraps up Varian's second appearance. But then, in Varian's third appearance, though, where things get wild. The Black Rocks have completely taken over his town. So Varian and his dad go to see the king. By the way, Varian's mom, I'm pretty sure, is dead. I don't think they ever classify that, but I'm pretty sure she's dead. Got kind of dark, but,
Children have no place in court.
But I'm not a child.
Kieran, my old friend, what brings you from old Corona?
But Kieran does not say anything of the king at all. And Varian's like, why? But, Kieran refuses to tell him. Fun fact, Kieran's actually part of a gang thing called the Brotherhood. And he actually knows the mystery behind the Black Rocks, but he pretty much vowed not to tell anyone. So, to make it even worse, he's lying to Varian and refusing to tell him his secret of his past. But then, Varian tells Rapunzel, and Rapunzel promises him that they'll figure it out together. But Varian decides to take matters into his own hand, and him, with help from Redigar, who was the raccoon who used to get caught in all his traps and stuff, but has basically become his assistant now, to come up with some sort of chemical thing to stop the rocks. But Varian sprinkles his dang on it. But then Kieran shows up and lows at him, and they get into a fight and everything. But then Kieran is then encased in the ember from Varian's chemical compound. Whatever. And Varian goes to get the princess, since of her whole connection to the rocks and everything. So he thinks he might be able to help. Kieran then writes a note while Varian is gone for Varian, but sadly, he cannot give it to him because he's then encased, and the note is also encased within the ember. We then get into Varian's first song in the series, as he then sings about all the doubts that his father has in him, and how he has lived his whole life trying to prove himself to his father, but it's never worked, and his dad's never put any kind of trust in him. And then, as he sings his emotions out, he sings about how he plans and so on to give Rapunzel and let him out. And then if that happens, then his dad will slowly be proud of him. He could stop the rocks and everything, then his dad will finally appreciate him, like he's always wanted. As Varian then runs to a magic blizzard, with Rapunzel's walking to stop. What is going on? Varian slips past the guards and and meets with Rapunzel. And then begs her to come with him to Old Corona and help his father. Due to the big magical blizzard covering the kingdom at the time, she can't actually help him. And then the gods drag him away.
My dad needs help!
No, don't hurt him.
Rapunzel!
Varian then returns home to see that his father is completely encased, kneels down on the floor, and begins to cry. Rapunzel fixes the storm and everything, but Varian is left alone. He said the whole city is evacuated, so someone left even in the town. He's basically living in an abandoned town now. He then has a reprise of his song, but this is when it happens. The change. You'll see what I mean. Okay, and another episode. Pascal and Maximus make a food potion with switches around personalities to keep, Rapunzel, Eugene, and Cassandra from fighting. But it causes a lot of problems, and eventually they throw it in the ocean. The only reason I'm talking about it is because at the end of this episode, guess who finds it?
Wow. What do we have here?
Varian sends Rapunzel a note to, get a score from his workshop. And she does it. Long story short. But the next time we actually see Varian in person, where he then corners Rapunzel and tells her that he has basically become a wanted criminal that everyone has turned against. Because everyone says he attacked Rapunzel. Which he did not! He asked for help! This is possibly what pushes Varian over the edge. Everyone assumes the worst from him. Varian then asks her to help him steal the Sundrop flower, which gave Rapunzel her magic hair to begin with, in order to help him free his father. And she's all about hopefully no one finds out that they're doing this, since it's thievery, treason, breaking and entering, a lot of crimes. Then he says that he saw they have their hands full. Suspicious. Very suspicious. Long story short, they defeat an evil robot. Then they find the flower, and Varian grabs it. He just snatches it right up. Then he reveals that he turned the mood potion into a truth potion, and then gave it to pretty much everyone, which caused a bunch of chaos so everyone would be distracted. Which is messed up. Look at his face right now. It's like I said, that's no wide view. This Paul's stuff free stuff at certain times, and their expressions are hilarious. Van then says that has to be like this due to Rapunzel breaking her promise, and the entire kingdom turns back on him. That he can't trust them anymore. They won't never trust him again. He can only do this alone. This is his only option left. At least that's what he's telling himself. But it's not anyway true, because Rapunzel still wants to help him.
Sorry, princess, but I know firsthand how well you keep promises.
Varian heads back to his workshop, tries to drill his father's Ember prison open. Does not work. Very frustrated. But then he realizes something.
The Sundrop isn't the flower anymore. It's Rapunzel.
Like how I said, Varian, it does so many things I like in a character. I love villains. And Varian is an amazing one. And he's probably one of the most competent of Disney villains. Like, every move he does, it's like he's playing chess. Every move he does serves a purpose. You know those giant robots that they fought? Well, Varian can control him now, and he sent one after Rapunzel on her birthday. They defeat, of course. But Varian's next attack is big. A bunch of fog shows up, and you hear his voice in the distance, but you can't tell where it's coming from.
He has lied to you and vilified me.
He then blames the king for making him a criminal, and acting like he's the victim in all this. Varian brings up the fact that the king has lied about the black rocks which are slowly approaching Corona and will destroy it in their search for Rapunzel. I like when villains use other things, people that they don't really have anything to do with, to their advances. Like, Varian can't control the rocks in any way, but he uses it to strike fear in everyone else, therefore making him seem more scary by comparison for knowing that. Because he's the one he brought up, so he just seems more scary. It's how he intimidates people. Though he doesn't actually have that much power, but he makes everyone else think that he does. And to make everything seem more scary, he turned his raccoon into a monster and made attack them. While all this chaos was going on, he played his Axel move. Oh well, the raccoon also turned back to normal.
It's the queen. She's gone.
Varian.
Varian then loses the queen to Lola and Rapunzel. And we get another song, which I think might be one of the best songs. That's one of the best songs in this show. And he sings about how he is aware that what he's doing is wrong, but he says that what he's doing is still justified because he's doing it towards the people who betrayed him and have forced him into this situation to begin with. Though that does not justify it in any way.
That guy, that's fine. It's no fault of mine, and some justice at last will be served.
Please listen.
Now it's time to step up, or it's time to back down, and there's only one answer for me.
But he captures Rapunzel and then loses her hair to power his drill. But it doesn't work. And I like how Redecar, the raccoon, can clearly see what's wrong with this and helps them escape. Though once again, Varian refuses to admit this, basically being overwhelmed by guilt, instead blaming them, saying it's their fault for all of this.
Her fault.
Gets into one of his big robots and tries to kill everyone Rapunzel cares about, and then will kill her. He even tries to kill Cassandra. Varian's just completely gone off the deep end, and thus wants to kill everyone who's ever caused him pain, but is defeated. In Season 2, we don't actually see Varian, but in one episode, but we do see an illusion of him, which shows that he definitely scarred Rapunzel. And, by the way, Cassandra betrays Rapunzel. And they go back to Corona, and then find out it's been completely taken over by these Saporian, what's the name of these guys, with help from Varian. Rapunzel's captured, and she tries to reason with Varian, but Varian states that his chemical thing that he's making, which will erase memories, is the only option, because no one will ever forgive him, and he will never have a second chance. It says that Varian has become a little bit more stable while he was in prison time. Like, last time we saw him, he tried to kill everybody. Now he's more like, just wants to fix everything. Wants to get his dad back. Wants to get his life back. But he thinks he's never going to be able to do that unless he erases everyone's memories. But then these guys tell Varian that they actually plan on blowing up Corona, and Varian then turns against him because he doesn't actually want to kill anyone anymore. And Varian is thrown in jail along with Rapunzel. Varian and Rapunzel have a conversation in the jail, and Varian tells Rapunzel how he planned on doing all this so they could be friends again, and if he erased everyone's memories, then people would trust him again. Because it's like, when you get released from jail, it's hard picking up the pieces of their life after losing the way. But another reason is that they make up now is because Rapunzel can actually relate to Varian now. Because now Cassandra has betrayed her, so she can finally feel the pain that Varian's going through. And could never understand that before, so now she can actually relate to him.
If you forget everything that happened, we could be friends again. Learn to trust again. But I guess life doesn't really work that way.
And then it's revealed that the hair on Varian's chin was actually drawn on. Varian actually volunteers to sacrifice himself to defeat the Zoborians, but they fix everything anyway. And Rapunzel actually using a new thing that she learned in season 2, like a new incantation, magic incantation. She actually frees Varian's dad. Now, to hear that song, that was playing in the background, that is actually I Will Make Thee Proud. Why they reunite? That is genius, people.
Well, what did it say?
I'm so proud of you, Varian.
Varian is redeemed and brought back into the kingdom. His next episode was actually... Well, next episode is important, I think, at least. He's in this treasure hunt and he's walking with this guy called Xavier, who has a talking problem. But they become friends by the end. There's also the episode where Varian gets trapped with Rapunzel and a few others in a magic cell. But the only reason he's really there is so his Redigar, his pet raccoon, could be a part of it because he's important. So, still fun to have there. The next episode Varian's in, though, is actually about him. Where these big red rocks, so the Wasphias, or illusions of them, and Varian's Wasphias is actually everything happy again. His fall getting frozen, everyone turned against him. We also learned in this episode that a lot of people are still against Varian, are rude to him and scared of him. Baby straight up starts crying when they're around him. But with advice from Rapunzel, he's able to fight the fear and save everyone. He is captured by Cassandra in his next appearance, where Cassandra is trying to force him to tell her how to fully control the Black Rocks due to him figuring it out with her magic school stuff. And Varian tries to reason with her, but she ain't having it. And she explains that the difference between the two of them is that Varian felt like he was forced in that situation. Cassandra chose this and is ready to embrace it. But having a dream, which is haunted by the evil sorceress Zantiri, he figures out a cantation, which Rapunzel uses to defeat Cassandra. In his next appearance, Varian builds sign to help communicate with other kingdoms. But due to Lance meddling with it, it explodes. And he walks so hard on that machine. In the series finale, Cassandra takes over Corona, and Varian's trying to figure out a way to stop her and Zantiri, who was helping Cassandra. I want to say how I love how honest Varian is in his songs. Like, they're always showing his way of thinking. Even the songs where he has, like, one line, he's saying what he's thinking about. Varian did not need to say that out loud, but he did. That's not he should have, but he did. But then he has this conversation with Eugene. Cassandra has this thing which controls members of the Brotherhood, which his dad's a part of. And that kind of freaks Varian out a bit. Because his dad seems to be acting fine so far.
Proud to have my son fighting alongside me.
Is that I hear? Oh, it's I'll Make Thee Proud again! As they're having this beautiful moment on their way to battle. Genius! That song plays every time. Well, he brings up the fact that he's proud of him. But Varian filled it with a stun mechanism, which, well, they built this machine, this portal, which will trap Zantiri. and he tried to stop it while he's under control by Cassandra, but the taser stops him. And Varian does not take it well. I mean, he just put his dad through physical pain. Long story short, Cassandra and Rapunzel walk together and they defeat Xantiri. And then Rapunzel talks about, at the end, what happened to all the characters. It turns out Varian actually became the kingdom's engineer. And his dad helps him now. Father-son duo there. So Varian finally got credit throughout the kingdom, and his dad, he finally had the approval from him. And to top all that off,
Verona was the first of the 7 kingdoms to have hot running water.
remember that scene from his very first episode where he tried to bring hot running water? It worked. He rebuilt it with his dad, and it worked. He brought hot running water to the whole kingdom. And he was the first one to do that in all the 7 kingdoms in this world. That is great writing! Varian should have more credit because he is amazing. Though, of course, the machine does explode a little. But, still works. You look at it, Varian is really a story about a lost boy, pretty much, well, lost teenager, I guess, who just wants approval for his dad to be proud of him, and just wants to help people, but lost his way. Refusing to admit his mistakes after being overwhelmed by guilt, but eventually found his way again. And finally made some friends. The thing he kind of always wanted. Well, and approval. Point is, Varian did get a happy ending. Which he deserves. So, I hope you enjoyed it. And I want you to tell the friends how great of a character Varian is. And how he is one of my favorite characters in all fiction. And I've posted things to give more credit. Because I find his story amazing. So there. Even if you disagree, I appreciate all of the support and just watching this video. Just coming to this channel, the most magical channel on earth. And yeah, may the magic be with you always. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, and maybe check out my past video about why Snow White's still one of the best Disney movies ever. And how Disney animals are becoming more human and playing an uprising. Bye.